Imagine a bustling marketplace. Merchants hawk their wares. Customers browse, compare and negotiate. This energetic dance is the heart of economics. It's all about supply and demand. Supply is the amount of a good or service available. Demand reflects how much people want that good or service. These two forces interact to determine the price we pay for everything around us. Think about a hot summer day. You're thirsty and craving a cold lemonade. Many others feel the same. This high demand might mean the vendor can charge a bit more. Now, imagine a rainy, cold day. Few people want lemonade. The vendor might lower the price to attract customers. This simple example illustrates a fundamental economic principle. The price of something is largely determined by how much of it exists and how much people want it. Understanding supply and demand is key to understanding how our economy works. Economists use graphs to visualize complex concepts. The demand curve is one such tool. It shows the relationship between the price of a good and the quantity demanded. Imagine a simple graph. The vertical axis represents price. The horizontal axis represents quantity. The demand curve slopes downwards from left to right. This downward slope illustrates the law of demand. This law states that generally, as the price of a good increases, the quantity demanded decreases. Think back to our lemonade stand. If the price of lemonade is low, people will buy more. If the price rises, some people will choose to buy less, perhaps opting for water instead. The demand curve helps us understand consumer behavior. It shows us how much of a good people are willing to buy at different prices. The demand curve isn't static. It can shift due to various factors. One significant factor is income. When people earn more, they tend to buy more of most goods, even at the same price. This increase in demand shifts the entire curve to the right. Conversely, a decrease in income often leads to a decrease in demand, shifting the curve to the left. The price of related goods also plays a role. Substitute goods can replace each other. Think Coke and Pepsi. If the price of Coke rises, people might switch to the cheaper Pepsi, increasing demand for Pepsi and shifting its demand curve to the right. Complementary goods, on the other hand, are consumed together. Think peanut butter and jelly. If the price of peanut butter falls, demand for jelly might increase as people buy more peanut butter and need more jelly to go with it. Trends and fashions can significantly impact demand. A sudden craze for vintage clothing can send the demand curve for these items soaring. Expectations also play a role. If people expect the price of a good to rise in the future, they might stock up now, increasing current demand. Now, let's turn our attention to the other side of the equation, supply. The supply curve shows the relationship between the price of a good and the quantity supplied. Like the demand curve, it's a simple graph. The vertical axis represents price, and the horizontal axis represents quantity. However, the supply curve slopes upwards from left to right. This upward slope illustrates the law of supply. This law states that as the price of a good rises, the quantity supplied generally increases. If producers can sell their goods at a higher price, they are incentivized to produce and sell more. Consider a farmer growing corn. If the market price for corn is high, the farmer is more likely to dedicate more land to corn production, increasing the supply. Conversely, if the price of corn falls, the farmer might choose to plant other crops that offer a better return. Various factors can cause this curve to shift, altering the quantity supplied at each price point. Just like demand, supply isn't static. It can be influenced by a variety of factors. A major factor is the cost of inputs. Inputs are the resources used in the production process, such as raw materials, labor, and energy. If the price of these inputs rises, producing a good becomes more expensive, and the supply might decrease, shifting the curve to the left. Technological advancements can also impact supply. New technologies can make production more efficient, allowing producers to create more goods with the same resources. This increase in efficiency can lead to an increase in supply, shifting the curve to the right. Expectations about future prices also play a role. If producers anticipate a future price increase, they might hold back some of their current supply to sell later at a higher price, decreasing the current supply. An increase in the number of sellers in a market can lead to increased competition and a higher overall supply. Taxes, subsidies and regulations can all impact the cost of production and consequently the supply of a good. Natural disasters and unforeseen events can disrupt supply chains and reduce the supply of certain goods. Understanding these factors and how they influence supply is crucial for businesses to anticipate changes in production costs. Section 6. Finding balance, the market's equilibrium. We've explored the forces of demand and supply separately. Now, let's see how they interact to determine the market price. The point where the demand curve and the supply curve intersect is called the equilibrium point. The price at this point is the equilibrium price and the quantity is the equilibrium quantity. At equilibrium, the quantity demanded by buyers equals the quantity supplied by sellers. This balance means there's no pressure for the price to change. Buyers are willing to buy precisely the amount that sellers are willing to sell. Imagine our lemonade stand again. If the weather is pleasant and the price is just right, the vendor might sell out of lemonade by the end of the day. This scenario suggests the market was at or near equilibrium. Equilibrium is an important concept in economics. Section 7. When scales tip surplus and shortage. While equilibrium represents a state of balance, markets don't always operate at this point. There can be times when the quantity supplied doesn't match the quantity demanded, leading to either a surplus or a shortage. A surplus occurs when the quantity supplied exceeds the quantity demanded at a given price. This scenario usually happens when the price is set too high. Sellers are willing to produce and sell a large quantity at that price, but buyers are not willing to purchase it all. To sell the excess supply, sellers might lower the price, encouraging more buyers to enter the market and moving the market toward equilibrium. A shortage, on the other hand, occurs when the quantity demanded exceeds the quantity supplied at a given price. This situation usually arises when the price is set too low. Buyers are eager to purchase a large quantity at that price, but sellers are not willing or able to supply it all. Section 8. Predicting the market's moves. Understanding the concepts of supply and demand equilibrium and the factors that can shift the curves allows us to analyze and even predict market changes. Let's say we hear news that a technological breakthrough will significantly reduce the cost of producing electric car batteries. How might this news affect the electric car market? First, we identify the impact on supply. The technological advancement will reduce production costs, encouraging manufacturers to produce more electric cars at any given price. This change will shift the supply curve to the right. Next, we consider the impact on demand. While the news itself might not immediately change consumer preferences, the lower production cost could lead to lower prices for electric cars. Lower prices might in turn increase the quantity demanded, potentially shifting the demand curve to the right as well. The combined effect of the rightward shifts in both supply and demand will be a higher quantity of electric cars sold. This example illustrates how we can use our knowledge of supply and demand to analyze the potential impact of real-world events on markets. Section 9. The invisible hand, prices as guides. The interplay of supply and demand, constantly adjusting to find equilibrium, is often referred to as the invisible hand of the market. This metaphor, coined by economist Adam Smith, highlights how prices act as signals, guiding the allocation of resources in an economy. When the price of a good is high, it signals to producers that the good is in high demand and encourages them to increase production. Conversely, when the price is low, it signals that the good is in low demand, prompting producers to reduce production or shift to producing more profitable goods. This self-regulating mechanism helps ensure that resources are allocated efficiently. Goods that are in high demand and are therefore more valuable will be produced in larger quantities, while goods that are in lower demand will be produced less. The invisible hand of the market, driven by the forces of supply and demand, plays a crucial role in shaping our economy.